live. Sorry guys, we were having, you guys, if you remember, you should have come. We were having a really good time. And I'm sorry, everybody's like, oh, just one more thing. And you know how it is, right? When you're getting ready to leave someplace, and even in real life, it's just one more thing. Let me see why this is not showing me. Let me click that. Oh, it's me and Sassy Darcy? Hold on a minute. Okay, there we go. Sassy Darcy's on here with me. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the, hold on a minute. What do I want to talk about? Let me make sure that you can see me here. What is it showing? It goes to black screen, right? I'm going to do that. Why does it do that? We just hit zoom, hit this, done. Okay, now it should be showing that. No? Let me see. Zoom. Zoom. What is that noise? Okay.
Before.
No, it's not that. Okay, so you guys see that. I see, okay. All right, you're seeing that. All right, you're seeing a little me over there, okay. So there's the woman that's on the thumbnail. I can't show the picture here, but she was on Tik Tok talking openly about her marital struggles and overcoming life's challenges, and she was found dead, and it's believed that her husband killed her because she was talking about on Facebook, TikTok. And Monday, police in Chicago found the bodies of 29-year-old Sonia Khan and 36-year-old Raphael Ahmed in what authorities say was likely a murder-suicide. So he killed her and then himself. Officers were asked to visit their condo in the Gold Coast to conduct a welfare check on Ahmed after the family members reported him missing. The officers knocked on the condo door and they heard a gunshot and a verbal groan. And inside they found Khan's body near the door with dried blood on her face, and Ahmed was in a bedroom holding a shotgun with a suicide note nearby. Authorities pronounced Khan dead at the scene, and Ahmed was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead there. Both had gunshot wounds to their heads. My contact is being funny right now. Okay. Khan's death was ruled a homicide, and Ahmed's death was ruled a suicide. A photographer, Khan was a photographer who had moved to Chicago recently from Alpharetta, Georgia, and after separating from Ahmed. On TikTok, she shared personal details about her life, especially about her marriage, which lasted less than a year. Khan told viewers that she became empowered through the divorce journey and advised women to stop ignoring those red flags. Khan also shared videos as Gemini Girl _099. She opened up about issues she faced with some people in the South Asian community who opposed her decision to divorce. Going through a divorce as a South Asian woman sometimes feels like you failed at life, she wrote in the TikTok video. The way the community labels you, the lack of emotional support you receive, and the pressure to stay with someone just because of what people will say is isolating. It makes it harder for women to leave marriages that they shouldn't have been in to begin with. Women are always expected to stay silent, Khan wrote in another video. It's what keeps us in messed up situations in the first place. I'm done with this mentality. Her life appeared to be improving. On a video posted one day before she turned 29, Khan showed viewers her first tattoo, which was a Roman numeral 28, the age she wrote when she changed FU and then 5 asterisks everything. Oh, when she changed effing everything. Okay. The year I got married, the year I moved from a small town to one of the largest cities in the country, the year I filed for divorce, the year I almost died, she wrote in the video. A GoFundMe account is raising money to help with her funeral arrangements. So I guess he was embarrassed or upset of what she was putting out there, and I guess he just killed her. It's crazy. So
Everything's all fixed now, right?
what?
Everything's all fixed for him now.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get why people do that.
Well, because I think that's how they problem solve.
Now he's got big problems.
Well, he's dead now.
Oh, okay.
He killed himself. So
Yeah.
he killed her and then killed himself.
Yeah, well,
And that to him is problem solved.
Yeah.
Okay. A Michigan state trooper revived a toddler investigators say had ingested a heroin that she found capsules in her mother's car. I didn't know heroin came in capsules. State police say a 31-year-old mother flagged a trooper down at 10:30 and put her unresponsive 18-month-old daughter in his arms. The Metro Detroit Post said the trooper called for emergency medical services and did a sternum rub on the child, who slowly began breathing. EMS arrived and the trooper handed the girl over to them. A quick investigation revealed the child ingested some heroin. EMS administered Narcan, rushed the toddler to a nearby hospital where she was listed in critical condition. Police found 15 doses of powdered heroin contained in red and black capsules and said the mother tried to hide the drugs in there. In addition to the 18-month-old, the 3-year-old was also inside the mother's vehicle, was taken to the hospital. The mother was also taken to the hospital. Pending clearance from the Macomb County Jail, the children were kept at the hospital for treatment and pending placement by Children's Protective Services. State police did not identify the mother or say what charges she may face. Let's see. The child's okay. And then there was a woman in Maine. Just want to make sure that you're... Oh, I'm not looking at the right thing. Hang on. I have to just look at something here. I'm in the wrong. I wish you could tell me what you see on YouTube. Never mind, I can see it myself now. Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Never mind, I can see it myself now. Just want to make sure what they're seeing here. Okay, so they're just seeing...
Shoot.
What? You're seeing a total... What's the matter?
Nothing. I thought it was early. I was going to play my guitar.
Okay.
And right now I'm just trying to figure out what kind of bowls.
Okay, so you're seeing a totally black screen. I don't know why this is doing a totally black screen. I'm so sorry. Let me see what's going on. No.
You want me to check?
No. It's okay. You guys can hear me. Hold on. I'm just going to try to see why that is not. Hold on. Maybe now it won't show a totally black screen. Are you seeing a totally black screen, Jimmy?
I'm waiting to look. I'll tell you. Totally black screen.
Yeah, I know. I need my other setup. I'll be. No, well, I'll be home soon enough. I need my other setup. No, there's nothing to fix. I need my other setup. Let me see if.
Here, now I see something coming down.
Do you see a picture now or not?
I see. Yeah.
I don't.
I'm looking at something right now. Yeah, I am.
What do you see?
I see something.
Okay, at least you see that. Okay, now hopefully, all right. But I can't show pictures like I normally do when I'm doing a.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry that I can't show you the pictures. I'll be home soon enough doing stuff from there. Okay, so there's a Maine woman found dead after a fatal hit and run. Driver found passed out. The beloved mother was struck and killed by an impaired driver Saturday morning while walking near her home in Turner, Maine. Tina Smith, 46 years old, was walking on the dirt shoulder facing traffic when she was struck from behind. Neighbors immediately called 911. Turner Fire Rescue and Life Flight responded to the scene, but she was pronounced dead at the scene. A statement from the Androscoggin County Sheriff reads, a short time after the initial deputies arrived at this incident, the sheriff's office dispatch received a report of a female that was passed out behind the wheel of a business on Auburn Road in Turner. Deputies responded to find 36-year-old Amber Smith of Sabatus passed out behind the wheel of her vehicle. Smith's vehicle had damages that were consistent with the crash. Deputies worked throughout Saturday investigating the scene and speaking with witnesses. Deputies trained in crash reconstruction and forensic mapping examined the scene. Smith was later arrested and charged with manslaughter, Class A, aggravated operating under the influence of drugs, causing death, Class B, and causing death while license is revoked, Class B, according to the sheriff's office. She's also been charged with a misdemeanor warrant for failure to appear out of Kennebec County Court. She is now in the Androscoggin County Jail in Auburn, Maine. An outpouring of support for White's family is flooding in from social media. Many wrote that White was a loving and selfless mother who will be greatly missed by the community. Very sad. Lots of prayers for her family. Okay, and just because let me see here. I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to go on to Sarah Boone, just because I don't feel like, I can't show you the pictures and stuff. Florida man is dead after his daughter's boyfriend shot and killed him on Saturday afternoon. Manatee County Sheriff's deputies arrived at a home in Bradenton, Florida, just before 2:30 p.m. And there they found a 67-year-old man laying face down in the front yard. He had been shot multiple times, pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not identified the victim, but the victim's wife and daughter told investigators that they were inside when they heard gunshot wounds from the driveway. When they ran outside, they found the daughter's boyfriend, Charles Shadrack, 29, holding a shotgun. And they told deputies that Shadrack set the weapon by the front door and told his girlfriend, "He won't be bothering you anymore." Shadrack turned, walked down the street, and surrendered to deputies arriving at the scene. Detectives said that Shadrack, his girlfriend, and her parents all lived at that house, and that the couple and her father had numerous arguments. Shadrack had been charged with premeditated murder and is currently being held without bond, according to the jail records. That's another great problem-solving skill. Yeah? Right. Okay. All right. So let me go back to... Hopefully we'll do this like this. And then we'll be back here. And let me do the screen capture. I don't know why this is just not showing this. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going... Why did that just do that again? I hear somebody like whispering. I don't know what is going on. What's going on? Why won't it show the This is really weird. Done. Okay, why won't it show? I don't know why it's not showing now. This is so weird. Okay, hopefully now it'll keep stopping. I don't know why. All right, I'm just going to go to our, let me see if I can get it to go on to the stuff. I'm going to try to put it on this, okay? Let me see if I can get it to go on this. What's that? Okay, maybe now. All right. So I'm just going to have to hope that it goes there, okay? There, I think it is. And we're going to look at, we went through all this, so we wanted to go to I've already downloaded this, but let me pull this up. Alright, and we will look at some of this. Let me see. So, move this to the side. Hold on. Maybe that's coming from there. Okay. I hope you're seeing this. I should just look real quick to make sure you're seeing this. Yes, okay, you are good. So sorry that it's like not so. Okay, so here's the Cellbrite reports from her phone. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna try to make this much bigger. Okay. So she was given the Miranda warning. Let's see what this says. I copied footages for, okay, that's the footage. Those were the search warrants. And this is, so that they've got the Cellbrite. Let's see what's going on here. Direction incoming. These are just her calls. Not seeing any text or from outgoing. Okay. So this is the Orange County Sheriff's. Oh, we were reading some of her previous things, right? This is a previous, I guess, police report from Crime Dead. Crime Code Dead. 2/24/2020. So it has Sarah Boone, Brian Boone, George Torres. So I guess this is the initial report. And I think we read all this. We did get through this the first day. Okay, we did this. Yes, I did do that. Orange County Sheriff's Office. On February 25th, I responded to the Colonial Drive, Orange County, in response to an individual. For our homicide detectives, upon arrival, I made contact with Sarah Boone in her interview room. I placed handcuffs on her. This is when she was arrested and she was brought down for transport. Okay, here's something else. Here's something about that picture on Facebook. So on February 26, 2020, at approximately 16:15 hours, I, Corporal Jillian Berry, 6579, made contact with Brian Boone at 4311 Mandy Court in reference, and remember, Brian is her ex-husband, to a suspicious picture of him and his son, Lucas Boone. The picture shows Lucas inside a large suitcase, partially zippered up, with a large smile on his face, both Brian and Lucas. In a sworn audio recorded interview, Brian Boone stated that the picture was taken years prior and was before they were going on a vacation. Brian Boone said that Lucas was never unable to breathe and did not complain of any injury from climbing into the suitcase. The family joked about how big the suitcase was, so Lucas got inside to be funny, and they zipped it up for him, but he was not locked inside. Brian Boone was unsure of who took the photograph, but he believes it was Sarah Boone, as he and Lucas are both in the picture and no one else was there. I also asked Brian Boone if there had ever been any allegations of abuse to Lucas, which he denied. Brian Boone stated that he does not corporally punish Lucas either, and has never noticed any injuries on Lucas beyond those of a normally active 9-year-old. He stated earlier today that Lucas told him that sometime in the past his mother hit him on the butt with a fly swatter, but he did not sustain any injuries from this and was laughing at the time of the incident. Brian Boone allowed me to speak with Lucas Boone in another room without him present. In a sworn audio recorded statement, I asked Lucas about the picture, and He stated he did not remember the picture, which he would have been 4 to 5 years old at the time. Lucas Boone also stated that he hasn't been hurt by anyone, and he would tell a police officer or an adult if he had. Based on my investigation, it appears the photograph was taken for fun at the request of a child preparing for a family vacation. There were no injuries, and the child was not locked inside the suitcase for any extended period of time beyond that of taking a photograph. Okay, so that was just the thing, which could happen, you know. But somebody did ask about that. And just want to make sure that you are hopefully seeing that. Good, that's there. So you can see that. Okay, so this is, let's see, Lucier Court, Melissa Sexton. So Deputy Sheriff Kayla Rodriguez responded to 4748 Front Court, Apartment 3, Orlando, Florida, in reference to a man down call. Okay, this is when he was killed, and we went through this stuff. We went through the background. Okay, synopsis of George. We did go through his injuries. There's Brandon Moat's interview. Publix. Okay, on February 26, 2020, Detective Scout Lowen and I responded to Publix at 4000 North Goldenrod Road, Winter Park, Florida. Forensic investigator Ruff Garden found 2 separate Publix receipts for Chardonnay wine purchased on February 23, 2020 in Sarah's trash can. One receipt was February 23, 2020 at 12:17 hours, and the second receipt was February 23, 2020 at 17:39 hours. Detective Lowen and I met with Devin Jomro, who reviewed the secured video surveillance footage in the secured office and that the surveillance system was kept in. On February 23, 2020 at 12:17, George and Sarah are seen on the video surveillance purchasing the Woodbridge Chardonnay wine bottle. On February 23rd at 17:39, only George was seen purchasing the Woodbridge Chardonnay wine bottle at 17:39 hours. Devin Jomro completed a sworn statement in reference to the video surveillance he downloaded. Brandon Moat's interview. We listened to this. Brandon had been residing at the Tealwood Park apartment since January 2019. On February 23rd, 2020, Brandon returned to his apartment at 2100 hours. And between 22:30 and 2300 hours, Brandon heard a large crashing sound that made the walls shake. Brandon heard the large crashing noise through his bedroom wall and believed it came from the upstairs and heard it crashing to the downstairs. Brandon's bedroom wall is shared with Sarah and George's stairwell. Brandon said it was normal to hear yelling and things bouncing off the walls from the apartment, but he had never heard the noise he heard on Sunday evening before. Brandon had recalled two past incidents involving Sarah. One occurred back in the summer of 2019 when he woke up and witnessed Sarah sleeping on his cement patio. The second incident occurred one evening when he had gotten home from school. Sarah approached him, seemed tired and paranoid, and was rambling on. Brandon said he was really not paying attention to what Sarah was saying. Brandon believed Sarah was avoiding going into her apartment. Brandon said he tried to avoid Sarah. Brandon believed Sarah and George were in an abusive relationship based off of what he heard through the walls. Then Vincent Battaglia had been residing in a single-story apartment for over a year. Vincent's bedroom is located next to Susan and George's patio and downstairs living room. Vincent would hear verbal and physical altercations between Sarah and George. Vincent was told this occurred so often that all the neighbors stopped calling to complain because it was a weekly occurrence between the two of them. Vincent said approximately 3 to 4 months ago, Sarah came over to his patio one evening when he was smoking a cigarette and told him she knew he could hear, and George said her and George and to stay quiet about what he heard. Vincent said he had hung out at the residence before since he was a musician. Sarah asked him one time to tune her son's guitar. Vincent and George said George was an artist and would show him his paintings and work. Vincent was asked if he knew about Sarah and George's drinking habits. Vincent replied he recalled a time when he left for school at approximately 9 o'clock and saw the two of them intoxicated stumbling around on the sidewalk. Vincent described them as functioning alcoholics. Vincent never smelt marijuana or witnessed any drugs at their apartment when he had been there. Vincent believed they only had drinking problems. Vincent returned to his apartment on Sunday, February 23, 2020 at approximately 1300 hours from work. Around 1900 hours, Vincent heard the normal yelling and arguing with each other, and Vincent heard them yelling that they hated each other. Vincent said he does not believe the incident that took place was a playing around type of incident. Vincent said it was too loud for it to be a joke. At approximately 22:30 hours, Vincent heard yelling and noise. Vincent explained it sounded like something was bouncing down the stairs between the railing and the wall and the stairs, like all the way down. Vincent felt the walls shake and had never experienced a noise like that before coming from their apartment. Vincent's roommate, Brandon, whose room was located in the front of the apartment, said he heard it too. Vincent heard nothing after the loud noise. Vincent stayed up until approximately 0100 hours on February 24th, 2020. Okay. Then Sarah Boone's cell phone log. On February 23rd, the majority of the phone calls during that day were placed and received were to Brian Boone, starting at 11:52 hours and continuing until 19:20 hours. On February 23rd, 2020, at 19:24 hours, a phone call was placed to a person labeled Cookie, per George's family is one of his daughter's nicknames. At 19:25, a phone call was placed to a Ana Victoria Torres, which is another of George's daughters. At 19:30, a phone call was placed to Juanco, which is George's brother, Juan Torres, and they spoke for 4 minutes and 6 seconds. George called both of his daughters again at 2000 hours, and the last phone call was placed on February 23rd, 2020, was to Brian Boone at 23:46 hours. On February 24th, 2020, Sarah's cell phone received 4 missed calls from Brian Boone, starting at 11:25 hours until 12:22. Sarah received a call from Brian at 12:49 hours, which she answered, and that lasted for 32 seconds. Sarah called Brian back at 12:54 hours, and that call lasted 20 seconds. Sarah called 911 at 12:59, and that call was the last call placed. Follow-up interview with Brian Boone. I called Brian Boone in reference to the phone call he received on February 23rd at 23:46. The following is a synopsis of his sworn audio recorded statement. Brian recalled Sarah calling him, but he was woken up by the phone call. Brian said Sarah sounded inebriated. Brian said he zoned her out during the call, just trying to get her off the phone because he was sleeping. I asked Brian if he recalled anything Sarah had said to him. Brian replied he did not recall. Brian said Sarah would call often when she was intoxicated and that he would do his best to get her off the phone quickly as he could. Physical evidence. On February 23rd, 2020, George was having a conversation with his brother, Juan Torres, when Sarah became hostile with him, and ultimately George hung up the phone call. On February 23rd, 2020, at 23:12 hours, Sarah recorded the first video of George locked in the suitcase. George repeatedly yelled out Sarah's name. Sarah told George, "For everything you've done to me, F you." Sarah was laughing when she said F you. "Stupid." George repeatedly kept calling Sarah's name. George said, "I can't effing breathe, seriously." Sarah replied, "Yeah, that's what you do to me when you choke me." George continued to repeat himself, telling Sarah he could not breathe. Sarah replied, "That's on you." "Oh, that's what I feel like when you cheat on me," Sarah said. "You should probably shut the F up." In this video, the suitcase was upside down, and you can see George pushing up on the suitcase in an attempt to get out. The video is 2 minutes and 3 seconds long. And the second video Sarah began recording on February 23rd, 2020 at 23:23 hours. George yelled out Sarah's name. The suitcase was now in a different position, facing upward and moved over towards the left side of the living room. The video was 22 seconds long. On February 24th, 2020, Sarah admitted to playing hide and seek with George. Sarah said they both thought it would be funny to zip George up in the suitcase. Sarah secured the suitcases by the broken zipper, but believed George could get out on his own. Sarah went upstairs and waited for George to come upstairs for approximately 30 minutes before falling asleep. Sarah said she and George were not intoxicated. On February 25th, 2020, during Sarah's second interview, she denied having any physical altercations with George on February 23rd, 2020, yet he received multiple injuries. Sarah blamed the consumption of alcohol, yet during the first interview, she nor George were intoxicated. During Sarah's first interview, she stated she fell asleep after waiting 30 minutes for George to come upstairs, and in her second interview, she used the term passed out while waiting for George to come upstairs. Sarah did not remember video recording George in the suitcase. Sarah blamed the alcohol for what occurred. Sarah said she would give George 5 minutes or so in the suitcase, yet the time difference between the two videos with George in the suitcase was approximately 11 minutes. Sarah admitted to flipping George over while locked in the suitcase. Sarah was told that George was dead as a result of her actions. Sarah replied, "I understand that." Evidence was sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement pending results, were the Sarah's fingernail swabs and swabs from George's body. Findings. Second-degree murder. The victim, George Torres Jr., is dead. The death was caused by the criminal act of the defendant, Sarah Boone. There was an unlawful killing of George Torres Jr. by an act immediately dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. Sarah Boone did commit the crime of second-degree murder. George Torres Jr. is dead, and his death was caused by Sarah Boone's criminal act. Sarah zipped George in the suitcase to where he could not get out. George begged Sarah repeatedly, telling her he could not breathe, and Sarah left him in the suitcase and went to sleep, therefore proves the unlawful killing of George by Sarah's actions that were imminently dangerous and demonstrated a depraved mind without regard for George's life. Oh, here's the medical examiner's report, guys. This is what you wanted to see, right? Okay, George Torres, 42 years old, male, white. Date of death, 2/24/2020. Time of death, 13:07. Death status found. Exam type autopsy. Sarah Zeidowitz, DO. Cause of death pending further study. Manner of death pending. Calls for service. Firearms, okay. Okay, so this comes now through affiant Corporal Nate Taylor, a sworn law enforcement officer to wit, a deputy sheriff for the Sheriff of Orange County, Florida, states under oath that affiant has probable cause to believe the evidence to wit, firearm and firearm accessories to include but not limited to an unfired ammunition, spent shell casings, magazines, bullet projectiles, and bullet fragments, DNA to include but not limited to blood, hair fibers, and skin cells. Cellular devices, fingerprints, digital photographs, clothing worn by the victim and her suspects, any article identifying individuals involved in this investigation. Also to be collected is a blue suitcase that the decedent was found in, which is evidence of a felony violation of the laws of the state of Florida relating to murder, to wit, Florida Statute 782.042, is currently being kept in certain property in Orange County, Florida, which property is believed to be under the control of Sarah Boone or persons unknown, and which property has or is located at the unique address of 4748 France Lane, number 3, Orange County, Florida, and is particularly described to and can be located as follows. Is described as a 2-story apartment-style building with tan shingles. The exterior of the building is yellow with white trim and black shutters. The front door of the residence faces south with the number 3 in gold. The building has a green sign located on the front with the unique numbers 4748 written in white. Okay, so that gives directions to that. Okay. So then it says, on 2/24/2020 at approximately 12:59, Orange County deputies responded to 4748 France Lane, number 3, Winter Park, in reference to a female reporting that her boyfriend was deceased. The caller, later identified as Sarah Boone, reported playing a game of hide and seek around midnight hours the night before. As a result of the game, she claimed that her boyfriend, later identified as George Torres, hid inside a suitcase and she zipped it up. Sarah mentioned that she and George had been consuming alcohol during the night and she went upstairs and passed out in her bed. She later woke around 800 hours the next morning, sat in bed for a few hours before looking for George. Sarah mentioned that she didn't see George and believed that he was possibly downstairs on the computer. As Sarah went downstairs, she did not see George and realized that he was possibly still in the suitcase. Sarah unzipped the suitcase and found George unresponsive and not breathing. According to Sarah's account, she received a phone call from her ex-husband, Brian Boone, shortly after discovering George deceased in the suitcase. Brian arrived on scene minutes later, saw George deceased on the floor, and immediately told Sarah to call 911. Shortly after deputies confirmed that George was deceased, the on-call homicide detective Scott Lowen received the call, and the lead detective Chelsea Coapsell, along with Detective Scott Lowen and Corporal Taylor, responded to the scene. When arriving on scene, the decedent was found lying near the front door of the residence near the blue suitcase. The decedent appeared to have a laceration to his lip. At this point in the investigation, it is uncertain what involvement Sarah or Brian has. Your affiant is asking the court's authority to grant the search of the premises due to the death and the processing the evidence to ascertain what occurred. The residence belongs to Sarah Boone and is currently where she resides. Okay, and then they'd say, find all that stuff. Okay, that's a search warrant, another search warrant, another search warrant for the laptop and stuff. So this is everything they got. Same narrative here for the digital devices. Okay, so that's the evidence: the pillow with the stain, the swabs of stain from pillow, suitcase, white cap with blood, necktie with blood, wooden baseball bat, wine bottles from trash, and Publix receipts from the trash. Okay, and here is something from 2018 where they had a battery, dating violence. Strangulation, dating violence. This is on July 25th at 2018 at 1:52. Diacito responded to 4748 France Lane. Okay. Referenced a male kicked a female in the eye. I later determined this to be aggravated battery by strangulation and battery case, being both dating violence. Upon my arrival, I spoke to Sarah Catherine Boone. Sarah verbally stated that she was at an unknown bar earlier in the evening when she asked an unknown male for a cigarette. Her boyfriend, George Torres Jr., of 1.5 years, became upset since she was talking to another male and left the bar. They both went back to the residence located at 4748 France Lane and continued verbally arguing. Sarah was dragged upstairs by George and she was kicked in her right eye using his right heel. Sarah was unable to describe how she fell to the ground and how she was dragged upstairs by George. Sarah refused medical treatment. Sarah refused to write a statement or sign any dating violence paperwork. After I spoke to Sarah, I spoke to George. George verbally stated that they were both at the residence, verbally arguing, and had been consuming alcohol. They had been dating for 1.5 years, residing together for 1.2 years. George attempted to go upstairs to avoid Sarah. While George was walking upstairs, Sarah reached towards George's throat using both of her hands. Sarah placed both of her hands around George's throat and applied pressure to the extent that George was having a hard time breathing. George was sitting on the steps and started kicking towards Sarah in an attempt to get her off him. George believes he might have kicked Sarah in the face, but it was not sure. George believed that if he did not kick Sarah in the face, did not kick Sarah off of him, she would have made him incapacitated due to being strangled. George refused medical treatment. George also refused to write a statement and or sign any dating violence paperwork. Both Sarah and George stated that they had been dating for 1 year and 6 months and residing together for approximately 1 year and 2 months. The left side of George's neck had red markings and small abrasions that is consistent with being strangled. Sarah's right eye is bruised and swollen from receiving the impact. Both Sarah and George received a victim's rights booklet with my name and case number on it, a photo injunction referral. Due to conflicting statements and injuries on both Sarah and George, I was unable to determine who the primary aggressor was. I placed both George and Sarah under lawful arrest and searched. George was placed into the back of my patrol car and Sarah was placed into the back seat of D.S. Ramirez Delgado's patrol car. I informed Sarah and George that the charges are now being placed against them, which they stated they understand. Due to both parties refusing to write statements and or signing any domestic violence documents, I was unable to complete a victim's request of confidentiality form for authorization or release of confidential information form and writing. Both parties stated they do not want to testify or prosecute against each other. Both Sarah and George were transported to the Orange County Booking and Receiving Center. George was booked and charged with battery dating violence. Sarah was booked and charged with aggravated battery by strangulation. Both Sarah and George stated they do not own any firearms. My body-worn camera was activated. Went on all those, right? I already saw that one.
They're coming out now. I'll get you somebody, okay? She wants to say something. She wants to talk. Come on.
We don't know anything though, like why or how. So that we will not know the answer to that because we're not doctors.
So what's going to happen is he's going to go to the examiner's office and he'll have what's called an autopsy.
Yeah.
That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot, there's no way I could say how, why.
So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple?
Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Lividity returns.
It's a hard stop bleeding until it's like in the settle to the lower points of the body. And then you'll see it shed very down. So that's like it's called a couple of what happens every night.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
We
Like,
have, look around, we have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what
Run.
you need to do.
We already heard that. Run, she says. Let me see. I think we.
Boone. Okay. And then your first name?
Brian, B-R-I-A-N.
We already heard that.
Third grade.
Oh, third
He's
grade.
not.
Third grade. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So sit tight for us. I'm sorry it's so hot.
We
Maybe
heard this
the
already.
middle of that would be a good spot.
It's okay. You don't have to.
I don't know how to. I'm just waiting for whoever. So.
I can tell you this, I'm going to be here just as long as you are, including my...
Okay, we already heard all that. And I just can't read anymore tonight. I am sorry that it was so late for me to get on. But I have to go to sleep. So if you guys want to come back on the Zoom, the number's there. It's open if you want to do a members chat. I'm just exhausted, and so the number's there if you want to join in the members and go on with your conversations. That's fine. I'm going to call it a night for tonight because I'm just way too tired. But thank you all for coming, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay? But the Zoom will be open, and you can come in. All right? Hi, Mel Mac.